Welcome to Idea Drop, episode 2 of season 2, and the deck is stacked against you. That's why we're here. The deck is stacked against you. It's really freaking hard to get any autonomy and money in this world, resources. And Dustin and I were having a nice little chat unrecorded, and I was like, nah, this is good content. We should probably just press record and be a little more honest. The game is rigged, and that's why we care to talk about it. That's why other people care to listen. And yeah, the amount of times where I've been overdrawn in my bank account is laughable. Like I'm going to guess that in my last 10 years, I have had personal overdrafts maybe 300 times. That's my guess.
Like a transaction was overdraft. Transaction.
Yeah,
overdraft.
like what's 300 times $37?
That doesn't seem that's I purposely
that's $10,000 of bank
I don't
fees.
do that math. I've been in that position. I don't ever check that. I do not check that. You can call them and they'll take that away, by the way. I don't know if they go back retroactively 10 years or whatever. No, I don't think 300 times is too terrible, because what that could be is just there was one month that you had to pay this and you couldn't pay that. You know, my daughter had a surgery and sorry, Mr. Bank, my daughter's more important.
I know there's many reasons, but I guess I care about those things because like everybody has life shit, and everybody has to or shouldn't have to feel like they have to hold up a veneer to play this game we call capitalism. Veneer aside,
Yeah.
thin laminate layer aside, it's just really hard to generate an income in any form. Like if somebody is making $20 an hour and they need to make 40 to make their life work, it's hard to get from $20 an hour to $40 an hour. It's difficult.
I think it's really, really easy to make a minimum wage. Extremely easy. I think it's pretty easy to make up to $10 above minimum wage. Pretty easy. Just show up to your job. That's all you got to do. Just show up consistently for a year, and you'll get there. Probably you'll get a
Might
raise.
take a few years, but yeah,
you'll be the manager of McDonald's or whatever, what have you. It is not easy to make double minimum wage quickly,
right?
And there's like this weird, let's say you're making $80K a year. It's a little bit easier.
That's a lot.
To do that.
That's $40 an hour.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little bit easier to do that than to start as an entrepreneur with no money. I'll say that.
Right. Yeah, I think I would be curious to poll the audience to find out how many people are doing the entrepreneurial thing or the business building thing to become wealthy or a millionaire or to have more money than they need, versus how many people are doing it for survival. And one of the types of survival is your emotional needs. And so if I reflect back, like there was a combo in my life, and I've heard this from other people too, so I just don't know how common this is. There's a combo of bad managers that I just hated working for, and a embarrassing ceiling on my income for the amount of work I was putting in while getting married, having children, like my wife couldn't go work a full-time job. So is that Emma on the other side?
That's
Hi, Emma.
Yeah, she was just saying hi. Emma, the podcasting world says hello.
Hi, Emma. We can tell when he lifts his eyes to see you.
That's funny.
She said, you picked a good one, man. You got a good wife.
Thank
well
you.
done.
I think so as well. There's no getting out of it at this point. We're married, so it's
no, you're
deal.
stuck with each other, so you better like it.
That's what I say every night. Honey, you're stuck.
Yep.
It's good.
Anyways, I think that there's a lot more, a lot less American dream going on than we think, and a lot more Maslow's hierarchy of needs creates an entrepreneur than people would expect. That's what happened for me. I've heard that as a pretty common story, and the truth is, you get better at anything like when you give it time and effort. So if you think about it on like, I need this result on a 6-month time horizon, that's just gambling. But if you need this result on a 6-year time horizon, that's just That's just getting better at something.
I kind of agree with that. A large part of it, in my perspective, is just staying in the game, staying in the freaking game longer than the other guy. Because you can gamble. Well, it's not gambling, but you can play enough hands, and then eventually, you're like, okay, I know how to do this. I actually know how to take this from A to B to Z, and then you just freaking go. Okay, Kendall, your first year as being an entrepreneur, how successful were you? Pretty successful. How many tens of millions did you make that year?
Let's see. So I worked in a VC-backed SaaS and hardware company, and then I got laid off with 200 people, 200 of my peers. The bank seized all the assets of that company because it was going bankrupt. And I was given the chance to stay on as one of, I think it was 6 employees.
Out of how many?
Out of 200, a couple
200. Okay.
6 employees to rebuild this failed startup. It already had a brand, it had products out there, and all of our support systems, marketing, finances, everything was going to dry up, and they were going to give me like a pay raise to have a terrible resume, right? My resume was going to be like, I am a badass in this 6-person pond from this failed company that is all over the media. That was going to be the resume they're offering me. And so I had to make the choice to like, do I want the stable paycheck, which my family needs me to have, to be honest? Or am I going to go do a new thing? And I chose the new thing. I chose the entrepreneurial route. I went and did a brokerage in consumer products with a buddy who was further along in that journey than me. And I started working for $0 a week and all percentages. And we made up a brand, and we made a landing page, and we went into mass market, brokering, getting people into CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Target, Costco, Walmart, the whole jam. Awful industry. Learned a crap ton. It still benefits me to this day.
Dude, I'm mad at you for not telling me that it's such an awful industry when I tried to get into it. Because I worked my butt off. Probably not as much as you maybe, but I learned so much. And then I learned that it's too hard to get into, and I don't have the capital it takes to crack it. But keep going. Yeah,
I hear you. I probably said my opinions along the way, but it's hard for them to be taken out of. It's hard to apply the one context to the other. You were on a mission, and I appreciated that about your mission. You learned a lot, and you still have all that learning, and so do I. So, to answer your question, my first year, let's see. I ended up doing some paid consulting for the back 6 months. I did free consulting for the first 6 months. I probably made $40,000 that year.
Oh, okay. How old were you?
24.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd say that's fantastic. That's
That's
great
good?
first year. Oh, yeah, for your first year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I had 2 kids. Like we were living off of a house I had to sell to make that happen. I had to cash out my equity early.
There are tools like that.
It was sad. I felt like I went backwards, but my knowledge went forward. So thank you. And
no, that's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. It's it's sad. Okay. We're talking about horror stories and starting businesses. Can I ask you a rather painful story?
I'm drinking a Sierra Nevada Hazy Little Thing IPA. It's 7%. I love these things. So
I'm drinking a
when in
perpetual
Rome, ask me
IPA.
anything.
It's 7.5.
What is it?
Perpetual. So it's an East Coast IPA. East Coast does a lot of things well. One of the things that they don't do well is everything over here and IPAs. And so
yeah, West Coast is best coast when it comes to the beer game.
It's so much better. It's
weird.
Better.
It's oddly better. It's kind of like saying, have you had a 2014 classic New York, upper New York wine? Is this a Cabernet from or inner city Delaware?
This is a cab from inner city Delaware. That's great. Thanks, bud. I bet you it qualifies as a cab.
No,
why is it white?
This is a West Coast, Sonoma Valley
Yeah,
cab.
that's exactly.
And beer is weirdly like that too. I don't know why.
West Coast is looser. They are better with alcohol there in general. They know how to do it better.
Why?
It's just better.
But how did they get there? All right, ask me your vulnerable
it's more
question.
in the culture. Okay,
I'm
so
ready.
Several months ago, you started a project. I eventually
Yikes.
came on board with your project just to kind of
real recent.
be in on
There's
the.
a lot riding on this.
Yeah, well, it was good.
Yep.
So a while back, you started a writing company, and it was actually really successful at the beginning. Tons of interest, sparked out of the gates, and then boom, what happened 1 month
I heard
later?
it's dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dead.
So,
What happened? What happened, man? You started a business and it failed. Let's hear the story.
I don't quite know because I've been so busy. I haven't heard from my team yet.
Dude, I'll tell you what happened. I know exactly what happened. But okay, so no, at the beginning it was huge. It was hot. It was perfect. It was a writing. Don't
overbloat this. At the beginning, it had a great start. So
beginning, you already had paying customers, and that's a big deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, we had paying retainer customers.
Yeah, and
we hired an operator. We made a great deal. Had a great writer.
Fantastic.
It was the company was an SEO focused high end writing company called Curated Writers, and I think you were the first to break the news that our operator resigned.
No, it got it in an email this week.
So I still haven't made the phone calls to find out what's happened yet because I've just been working on other stuff. But yeah, so in our company, because we have 9 companies and the model is hinging on great operators to run their businesses, and I'm doing a different thing. I'm not always in the weeds, but and so there's probably a Slack thread or an email chain that I just haven't got caught up on yet. But yeah, I think AI crushed it. That's my guess.
Exactly what happened. AI destroyed your business.
I think ChatGPT and other AI writing tools before that. Well, no, I think single-handedly ChatGPT caused enough customer pause when it comes to paying a lot of money for SEO and high-end writing. They said, I don't even know if I have to pay for this much labor anymore to get good writing product. B, people are not even trusting investment in SEO right now. SEO itself is questionable. It's good in this moment, but this moment next year, will that be true? Because if search behavior goes to ChatGPT once it's connected to the internet, which Bing is doing with Microsoft and all this stuff.
It's already connected. There are workarounds that are already connected. But I don't... Keep going. I disagree with you. I don't think SEO is going to die out.
It must evolve dramatically. And so when we say SEO, what we mean is the craft of optimizing a landing page for humans to find it, customers to find it. And that is a very costly endeavor, right? So people were paying us $6,000, $8,000 a month. Bigger companies are investing $50,000 a month into SEO optimization.
Bro, and it worked too. I worked with some of those projects. Their websites would go straight to the top. Truly, it really did, and quickly.
It's a big deal. It's a lot better than renting the ads traffic that you need from Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. You're just renting what they own when you pay them for an ad to get a user to hit your landing page. But if you want to own the traffic, SEO was thought of as an asset. My nervousness right now, and probably the story of the failure of that business, is what happens to all of the money and time and effort into an asset you thought was long-term for these businesses that are going to be circumvented by the average person who types in a question. So if you had a pet products company and you had a killer answer to the question, is it safe for my dog to chew on chicken bones? Right? Very common thing. Chickens are bought by a lot of families. A lot of families don't have a lot of money. And when the family eats the chicken from Costco, can I just have my dog enjoy it? No. it fractures into splinters and chokes your dog, and like it can kill your dog. So don't give them bird bones. But what happens to the average family that doesn't know that? They have to Google it. Well, if the pet products company gave you an alternative to that chicken bone, they could get a transaction out of you, and they were very incentivized to give the best ranking answer for that one question the user types in. Now, ChatGPT creates a world where, well, I'll just type it in there and I'll get a straight answer with no ads, no other agendas, no one's trying to lead me into a funnel to sell me another thing. So, I don't really want to empathize with the business owner here, but I do empathize with the business owner here. Like, they put $200,000 into optimizing those sets of pages that, answer that question, because that brought them in $1 million of revenue a year. And now they're going to have marketing leadership that is eyes wide open, paying attention to the new game. And we don't even know what the new game is.
Okay, so this is where people get AI completely wrong. It is not the best answer. It is simply the aggregate of averages. So it gives you an average answer, and that answer can be wrong. Mm-hmm. And then also, with how it's built right now, if it doesn't know the answer, it makes up an answer. So you could ask ChatGPT, hey, is a bone bad for my dog? And it will
give you the most likely answer.
No, not even the most. It'll give you the most common answer. Not even if it's the right answer. Which is where everybody's messing up SEO. So a lot of people are dumping a lot of money. No, it's built off of millions and millions of articles. So it takes that, and then it learns language production. So then when you say, hey, I'm going to and then it just predicts the next word. So the most crude version of ChatGPT is when you go to your phone and you like type in a Google message or iMessage to somebody. It says, hey, Jeffrey, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And then it predicts the next word. That's ChatGPT at a very, very rudimentary level, right? It's AI prediction of that. So it's taking the law of averages and using that. Now it's going to get better and better, especially with Bing integrating with Google, right? Is that what it is? Anyways.
No, Microsoft
no, Bing's with the Microsoft. And,
yeah. So Bing is Microsoft's, and they bought into OpenAI for $10 billion. They bought 49% of the company, but they're only allowed a 2.5x return on that. It's a weird thing that happened. Anyways.
It's a smart thing. I think it's really
smart thing that happened too, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bet on the winner. It's for sure it's going to win. So it's not necessarily the best. And this is also where people are screwing up their SEO with it, is they just take their ideas, say, hey, ChatGPT, write me an article about this. And it's just giving you a pretty damn average article that looks great and is written super nicely, but everybody else has the same exact article. So you are hurting your SEO dramatically by doing that.
That's not true anymore. That's not true anymore. Are you using 4.0?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You just have to prompt it differently. You just say, write this wittier. Okay, now cut out the middle section. Okay, add this substance.
The writing is eloquent.
Data.
Absolutely. No, what you need to do if you actually want to beat it is you need to feed it new information. You need to say, based off of this new information, and give it information it does not have, write an article. Then it's perfect. Right.
Yeah, so the time to create a high quality article has dropped by 90%. Maybe 80%.
The wonderful writing company that was once
Right?
burgeoning.
Yeah, so instead of charging $6,000 to customers, the perceived value of what we offered should be like $600 or $1,200. So then our margins just go away. Can't pay the employees.
It's not worth it.
Too hard to close new clients. So company dead. This is a really interesting time. I'm very excited. I'm excited about all the possibilities. I'm excited about the general sense of when technology like this gets released. It's an equalizer. It's an equalizing agent. So the people who were behind the moat and couldn't get over, they didn't have a bridge to get to a better life. This is a free or very low-cost tool to get you in the game that pays the bigger dollars. The sad reality is a lot of people have been sold a different game, and they're very adept. Let's take the average labor union and the jobs in the labor union. What happens when AI comes for those jobs and that company can't fire those workers because of the labor laws, and their competitor overtakes them and everybody loses their job anyways? That's like, it is going to be disruptive in that sense. But the exciting part to me on a macro sense is if those people would adapt, they have access to a new type of work they've never done before that they might even enjoy more. But it's at the cost of temporary loss and disruption. And if you don't have savings, it's a disaster for your life. If you're playing by an old set of rules you were taught, you have no reason to accept or know about new rules. This is going to be a rough wake-up call for people.
It's kind of like, so it's a risky time to be an entrepreneur because all those businesses that you're starting, I mean, they can crash at any point, as what happened with the writing company. But if you can catch the wave, you can ride the wave. Like, decades ago, it was the internet wave. If you learned how to make a landing page in 1995, oh my gosh, you had a fortune. But now my little cousin can make one 5 minutes, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm a Python developer now with
Dude, I'm a Python developer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
totally.
We both are, because we know it exists, therefore we are. Because we think we are, therefore we are. And that's the weird part about the mentality that AI introduces. Like, you have access at your fingertips to things you don't believe you have access at your fingertips. So the people who don't believe it will miss the boat. The people who do will just ride the wave. And so seeing is believing, right? So what it'll take for a lot of people is just seeing a use case in something they're familiar with that blows their mind. I went to my 82-year-old grandpa, and I said, Grandpa, there's this thing that before you die, he's funny, so I can be funny, candid with him. Before you die, you should probably know this thing exists, because I'd hate for you to die and not know it exists. Like, this is the future. And for better or for worse, let me show you something. And he's a mountain biker. So he's one of the healthiest 82-year-olds you could ever meet. But he mountain bikes several times a week. He stays in tip-top shape. He's a farmer. And he's a poet. So he's a college educated poet. And that's kind of how that's his creative bent. And I know poems of grandpas, like I was raised on them. And I said, hey, ChatGPT, write me. I showed it to him.
This is dirty. You're dirty.
Yeah. I went straight for the throat. Write a poem about an old mountain biker who has seen the sunset on his heyday, and in an emotional manner, but with some humor, make the poem land down on the point that he's got to pass the baton to the next generation. And I clicked go. And it starts writing. And my grandpa's, has his glasses on and he's reading. And he was like in shock. Like he couldn't talk for a little bit. He's watching this thing write in good prose. And he's like, can it write a limerick at the end? He's like, could it make this a limerick? And I was like, yeah, write this same thing as a limerick. And then he like gave me 3 or 4 different types of poems to like test. And so he couldn't shut up about it. He goes to his like social groups, his old person social groups, and starts showing them. He's a new iPhone user too. He's only had a phone for 6 months. He went the last 81 and a half years with no phone. And, so not only is he learning how an app works.
He wasn't sad at all. He was just happy.
No, because to him, like, life is about the more like human things. And so this is just a tool.
I gotta admit, I was a little sad. I mean,
No, I'm not sad, because I've not put any hope in our ability to produce. I like walks in the forest. I like hanging out with friends.
Yeah, but there's obviously 2 sides to this coin. But if I showed you an Emily Dickinson poem and an AI poem written in the style of Emily Dickinson,
oh man,
you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And that's
But-
kind of sad.
But a new form of creativity emerges. Like
Yeah,
I
true.
think this happened when photographers went from analog film to digital. And at first digital was like nothing. It was like, this is just a worse photo. Why would I do this? Then like powerful editing software came online. And in the early days of that, then a photographer who was willing to put in editing time instead of capturing a beautiful analog photo could actually outdo the art, at least from a lighting perspective and an emotion perspective. They could do more. And now you get a wedding photographer, they all have to edit. And it's the art is thought of that way now. So one art form might kind of retire, just like slug bugs retired. And now we have classic car parades where we doctor up a slug bug and we're like, man, look at that beautiful piece of history. That happened to photography. Look at this person who does no editing, no filters, that still exists with a 35 millimeter art form. And that's what's going to happen with writing now. So now writing is like, wow, that was human only writing. So we're going to have this new art form in the history books, but then, or old art form in the history books, but then this new art form will emerge on how good are you at pulling out of this. It's really like, how good is your taste? Like, how good a taste do you really have? If Emily Dickinson still had the best taste, she could use this technology to get the best poetry out of it.
Okay. That's fair. When the printing press came around, outburst was tons of trash and tons of noise, but also with it, great things. And you just kind of had to differentiate between the trash and the noise and the great things. So I can get on board with that. So I want to ask you some questions, though, Mr. Bachman, Mr. Owner of many businesses. Here's the questions. Is AI coming for my job? Let's say I work
Your job? Oh.
Well, it's just, I'm going to...
Yeah, have you seen Movio? I can replace you.
What's Movio? What is it?
Oh my gosh, I literally can replace you. So I have repositories of you talking, right? They're files. There are many gigabytes of these files, by the way. And I feed Movio those files, and their customer support team builds a model of Dustin. And I can type and make you say anything pretty close to your mannerisms, your tone, your voice. So it matches the visual with pixels, and mannerisms and voice. And I could just have a good old conversation here with a fake Dustin, make you say whatever I want, and make sure that I'm the superior host.
Okay,
here.
that's going to work, but you know where it's going to completely fail? That would be so good for interviewers, but it's not good for people, because people evolve and change and have new hobbies. And in the next 3 years, I'm going to be in something completely
You'll be a different
different.
person.
Completely different, yeah.
Right.
Think of your wife 10 years
it's
ago.
not
Was
better.
she the same person? Not at all.
No. But it is interesting, like, in the world of like movies, right? Big production movies. We're quickly getting to a point where Tom Hanks will sell the likeness of Tom Hanks way past his death. So his children's children can own the rights to Tom Hanks's likeness. And Hollywood will be paying them a royalty for using him in their next film because we're endeared to him, right? So it'll be interesting. It'll change some of the economics of how this trade is done. It'll change some things. But then on another level, people are still going to be like, wait, no, I'm a Chris Pratt guy. This up-and-comer, he's going to be huge, and I'm this fan. So I don't think it's going to replace the new stuff, but it'll be weird. It's going to get weird.
I'm kind of excited for it.
I'm kind of excited.
I'm deeply involved with it. I obviously...
Yeah, what are you learning?
Oh, man. Okay, so people don't know it because I haven't really put it out there yet, but I've been working on an AI startup for the last month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's it's honestly burning me out because it's so much freaking work. It's not as easy as people think. And yes, AI does things for you. It codes and all that stuff. But you know what AI is? It's kind of a shitty coder, actually. So you have to be smart and you have to know how to like work with its clunky stuff and make it
It's
work.
not necessarily the path of least resistance if you are already an expert.
Oh, yeah. So you work, you run a startup. No, you run a lot of things. But in your office, there's a guy that you work next to who just kind of hangs out with you because he's a nice guy. He runs a startup. I asked him, his startup is completely tech-based. He works in React, all that kind of stuff. He won't use ChatGPT because it's like, it just writes bad code. Why do we want it?
Eigel.
Yeah, Eigel. Yeah. You're a Swedish friend, right? Or Norwegian?
Yep, he's Norwegian, yeah. He's CTO of a good startup. Shout out to shiftx.com.
Yeah, very cool, actually.
So they build this beautiful workflow process for organizations to use and document kind of like complex workflows. And he's a big stickler for just high quality code and components and architecture that other high quality developers can pick up easily and then move forward. So there's a lot of benefits. It's kind of like cleaning your room. Like if you never clean and organize your room, and if you don't have slots where things go that are clearly used for the same sock drawer every time, then you can't hire somebody to come in and clean your room because they will put everything back in a different way. It's all about organization in a uniform manner with some base principles. Now, AI can do that, but the work to get it to do that is kind of like making the developers right now go, I might as well do this myself. But a year or two from now, I'm not sure that's going to be the case anymore.
Fair point. I want to actually go back to the ideas for you. The question.
No. You were going to tell us about your startup. Are you not ready to reveal? Like, what's happening here?
I'm so close with the landing page and on that.
Okay, all right, not yet. We'll do the reveal
actually, but I just couldn't get there.
If you can get it by next week, we'll do the reveal.
To show you. Honestly, I wanted to show you live, just get a real raw reaction.
Really? Oh, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
We can do more than one episode a week. Let's do whatever.
You should ask my wife though. I've been like slaving away. It's been fun.
Oh, that's cute, Dustin.
Yeah, just me the slave. No, but what I do want to ask you though is AI coming for my job. Now, let's say I'm a developer. Is AI coming for my job?
Yes.
Oh, damn. Okay. How much does a good developer cost? A good one.
Where do they live?
Midwest.
A good one in the Midwest is $100K. $50 an hour.
How much will that person be in 10 years?
180,000 in 10 years.
I think they'll be 100K. I think it's just gonna stay. I think it's gonna climb everywhere else, but not there.
No, there'll just be less of the jobs. So the ones that there are will be still your premium people using the premium tools.
In that case, the ones that are there, I would say would be probably a lot more. They'd be like 400K. You know what I mean? Because
the market doesn't like to pay people that much over the other jobs. So the interesting thing about this is a different rabbit trail we don't have to take right now, but salaries don't really do that very often unless there's a market bubble, because managers, CFOs, VPs, they don't like, we don't expect to pay people that much. We're fine if an entrepreneur makes $400K a year, but we're not fine if, the hamburger flipper or the coder or the designer.
Funny, it's always feelings based. Have you noticed that?
It's expectations
right.
based.
It just doesn't feel like if a doctor says, "Hey, I make $400K a year," you'd be like, "Well, that makes sense," because there's this nebulous thing that happens when they say MD at the end of their name.
Because human expectations is a major factor in demand, in the supply and demand formula.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, the question I want to ask you, Kendall, is AI coming for my job? And we're just going to choose a different field, every few different fields. So if I'm a wedding photographer, is AI coming for my job?
No.
I agree. I think that they're going to keep going forever. You're going to need a photographer at your wedding. Now, what they can do is photographers can augment their photos with AI, editing it, and then also add new photos to the whole selection that you didn't even take. And you would never know because it's so damn good. Okay. Is AI coming for my job if I am... Dude, social media management. Is AI coming for my job?
There will be a reduction in jobs, but not as dramatic as other industries.
Dude, I think AI is coming for that job. But I do think that you can take advantage of it and scale up your industry with that in mind. So to say, hey, we're an AI augmented social media company, and then boom, everybody's going to hire you, charge a little bit less than you think you should because it's going to be cheaper as you go along, and you can scale massively.
So the thing with media in general is it's our remote way of driving human connection. And so it will only work to the degree that we don't believe this thing is generated at least significantly by something inauthentic. So as long as it preserves like human values, like authenticity and vulnerability and candor, social media is a lot less about information and a lot more about, do I trust this person who's giving me this message, or do I dislike them? It's meant to deal in the range of human emotion. So that's why I don't think it will be entirely moved by the AI tools. But I do think there'll be a slight reduction. And I would say like 80% of those jobs are safe is my guess.
I'd say 50. I'd say 50 in the coming years, 50.
Brutal.
But
all right.
I do think that...
we got it on record, so I'll see you in a few years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I do think that this brings on another benefit. Within corporations, they're going to be hiring like AI experts, and it's just to integrate them with all the different platforms and different things like that. Or maybe... No, I don't know. Maybe I call my shot on that. I don't think that's quite accurate.
Yeah, if you need one of those, DM me. I've got my buddy Dan and Aaron are doing that.
Yeah. And they do a great job at it, actually. Okay.
So far, we'll see. Come on, guys.
We'll see.
Work some magic.
Are they not working magic?
They're not doing any work for me, so I don't get any benefits.
You're already... Dude, I wouldn't sell you AI. You're already at the front edge of it. You don't need it.
Yeah, we're incorporating it in the areas that it makes sense. And if we find out next week a new area that makes sense, it's not that hard for us to adapt it in. Mostly it's going to be a tool that you expect your team to be using and trained on, and it will affect processes. So as long as your people and your processes are agile enough to incorporate the tools that you find just make the work better, then that's what a good, responsible company should be doing with AI.
Okay, so because AI is new, there's a bunch of fringe areas that it's not being interacted with. I'm going to give you an example, and I want you to see if you can help me think of extra examples. So it's really big on writing content. It's really big on video content, all that kind of stuff. People need to start integrating it into the fringes. One example is if you were to make an AI integrated CNC machine, or just software that integrates with your CNC machine, right?
Yeah.
So think about that.
It might already exist. Yeah.
Maybe not. What else? What else is in that sector?
The fringes? I mean...
Because think about it. You make that app, people are going to adopt it because who the hell else is going to make that? They're all trying to create something new and exciting in like the glut of humanity. And you're saying, hey, I'll just take this nice little niche for just a few measly million.
So I like to think about it this way. Like AI is going to be really good at getting a result for a requester. So if I say, hey, I want a kayak for my 320-pound friend, and I want them to be able to go kayaking with me, but the challenge is we can't find one for less than $600, and we can't lift it on top of my car. Can you get me one of those? And it can do a whole range of solutions. It can look at custom order. Is there anything out there? Custom order. If we do an order with different materials? Can we drive the cost down below that $600 price point I'm requesting? Is it engineered to help with the lift of getting on my car or the car railing, or what kind of car do you have, Kendall? Like, it's going to be able to just help take a pretty complex outcome-based question and give me my options and say, well, actually, did you know that over here there's already a manufacturer of these?
I don't know. I think it'll go straight for manufacturing. It'll go straight for 3D printing, extremely high-end 3D printing.
Great.
And it'll make it to code, hopefully.
That is one result. That is one of the options. So,
that's exciting.
Right? It can't change physics, but it can tell you what the path of least resistance of physics are. So when I say physics, I mean like the cost to ship something on a semi-truck across the United States, the cost of putting something in a container and shipping it across the Atlantic, the cost of getting it off the line at a manufacturing plant in China, the cost of the equipment for the proper needed 3D printing stuff with the right materials. So there's so many variables here that the old way to get things done was a broker, an industry broker who's 20 years deep, 30 years deep at the thing they do, and they can connect you with their guy. That's also how they're paid. AI replaces that. There's in the next few years, there are going to be more and more companies that just give you, hey, what do you need? And their version of the AI is well connected. And like, here are some solutions for the thing you're wanting to buy or do or plan. It's gonna get weird, man. It's gonna get weird.
Okay, so I just asked a little ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example of jobs that will likely be disrupted by AI for the worser. Here we go. Customer service. For sure, I agree. That's going away. Right. Retail sales workers. I disagree. I don't think that's going to go away. Oh, online shopping. Yep, that'll go away. Data sales entry clerks. Data entry clerks. Yeah, that'll go away because it's easier to recognize that, which is great. So sad that data scientist was like so hot 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
It's still hot, but it's
got to be completely retrained now to use
definitely.
this tool. And so that's one where there's going to be an 80% reduction in the workforce there.
Oh, yeah. Give me more examples.
I want to know, ask it. Yeah. Anyways, it's not fully baked there. I don't want to make this the ChatGPT day, but
what about surgeons? No, let's do it. Surgeons. Is it going to take the job? No. I would have surgery from an AI guy. So fast. Hell yeah. Right. Put me under the knife with that. I'm totally in.
You're right.
Journalists, yes, it's going away. Accountants, yep, going away. Surgeons, going away. Teachers, no, not going to go away. People won't do it. Lawyers, they'll be like integrated.
Bro, I'm already not calling our lawyers.
Really?
It will be a massive reduction in the demand for practicing.
You're already not calling them.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. We've probably done 6 contracts in the last 2 months with ChatGPT to our request. Because what would happen already is a lawyer would just take the closest template to the need that they have access to, and then they would put their professional spin on editing that template and then get our dummy sign off. I still have to sign off on it. So like, I'm the dummy in the chain. Well, ChatGPT saves me money and time on the other two, and I'm still the limiting factor. My ability to interpret that this actually fits the requirement of this partnership I'm doing, or this agreement we're doing, or this deal.
How much money are you saving doing this?
Well, on the 6, so my thought of the 6 contracts, let's say 3 of those I would not have had to generate from scratch, where they're already something we had, and we would just change some things. But it saved us a couple bouncing back and forth internally. So that probably saved me $200 or $300 of labor on the bouncing internally, for each of those. So let's say that saved me $900. Then the other 3 I would have had to get made from scratch, and that would have saved me anywhere from $1,200 at the smallest to $5,000. So I would say total I've saved $6,000 or $7,000 in the last 2 months on legal cost.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
The more important thing being the
for
time.
a 50 or 60 person org.
The time is the biggest thing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, the time saves you shed loads of money. I get that not everybody has to like translate time into money, and they're like it's something that is required when you're operating a business, but not when you're just living a life. I have to consider savings on labor is a direct savings on cost or increase in opportunity, right? So now my team member that I save time of, they directly get to spend that time on growth instead of fulfillment. So, yeah.
Dude, real fast. I know we don't want to make this the AI episode. Sadly,
It's too late.
becoming that.
It's too late. This is the AI episode. Welcome
it's
to
so
season
sad because
2,
there's so much
episode 2. Is it
so
coming
much
from
more
my job?
I want to say that I've saved, but I just want to say,
is it coming from my job? That's title that.
Yeah, it's probably coming for your job. But if you integrate it, you're going to be the person who takes the other person's job. So that's sad to say, but just be that guy. It's better to be that guy. Dude, I want to say something. I'm kind of proud of us. Do you remember the first time that we talked about OpenAI on this podcast?
I don't.
It was really early on.
Did we do good? Did we do a good thing?
I'm talking 3 months before ChatGPT came out. We were talking about it.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
That's so cool. Are you kidding me?
That's pretty cool. We read stuff.
We beat the curve.
We're relevant.
Dude, we beat
curvy.
it hard. We did a good job doing that. I'm a little proud of that.
Good job, us.
Yeah, good job, us. With no prompting either. We were just like, hey, this is kind of cool. This is going to come for people. And it did. Look at that.
Man, so how are you feeling as a serial entrepreneur? So you've ripped off the freaking Band-Aid. You've left your safety behind. You've said, I am going to figure this out and have more autonomy in my life. I don't think for you it's really about making loads of money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you needed your freedom. I've known you for a while, and this is the main benefit.
Dude, I grew up with the unfortunate reality that my parents didn't have a lot of money, and so I could feel the stress on them, and I will not let that happen to my kids. I just won't.
But define a lot of money. Like, so at which number annually would you feel like, oh yeah, I did it?
You want to know my number? It's kind of stupid.
I do want to know your number.
$1 million a month. If I can clear $1 million a month, like clean, then I'm feeling pretty good.
Post tax, you want $1 million a month?
Yeah, I think I'd be good. I think
wow.
I'm set. I think I would be happy with $30,000 a month. But
post tax?
Yeah,
pre-tax.
Post tax. But I want $1 million a month. It's like in my mind, that's
so
the number. That's the number.
Do
you have a number? What's your number? Do you have one? Have you thought of it?
So mine adjusts based on my current quantity of children, which has been a variable thing through my professional life, and the tax rates. Really, when it boils down to it, I don't want to be making tax-free. I don't want to clear post-tax an amount of money that is much more than like 30% more than I need. So I want 30% more than I need for our current lifestyle.
Are you afraid of like distorting your mind? I know that's a big thing.
No. It's that I want all my other earning power to go into equities for long term. So I don't want cash. I don't want it to be taxed. I want assets. I want to influence things. I want to make an impact. So
no. Let's be dirty though. Come on, a monthly amount that you just have, right? And then what if it's over at the end of the month? Yeah, put it wherever you want. That's great. Put it back.
I'm not that great at mental masturbation, but I'm
fantastic at it. Let me tell you.
I would call it my number much lower than yours. I would say right now, all I need is a strong word. All I want is maybe 20 grand post-tax
monthly.
And I would just it'll need to go up a little bit for inflation and tax increases, but everything else I want to be rolling into equity.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. I have the house that I don't want to move out of.
Yeah.
I want to just make my house better and my property better. I want a Cessna plane. I'd like to fly up and down between here and LA. But I can do that out of cash flows. I can finance that. I don't need to buy it in cash. I would rather ride all increases in income into the equities of the things that I'm spending full time working on day in and day out. Why would I clear cash when all of my choices that I actually care about are in a work context? I might as well give that money to somebody working with me or for me and get the thing that I'm in control of or influential over bigger and better.
Okay, I think we're thinking about it differently, and I think you might be right. I'm doing the mental masturbation pretty directly. But $1 million a month, just think of it like I can spend it however I want to spend it. I have I should probably call somebody to make sure I have the ability to do this. That's what I want. I want zero mental stress. Now, I don't have to spend $1 million a month. There's probably very low likelihood that would ever happen unless you buy a house, right? Something like that. But just the ability to say, do whatever I want, I can do that.
Well, I disagree with you wildly, but I'm so curious now. So, okay, what are you spending it on stress-free? Tell me where you would spend this month's $1 million with no stress.
Okay. I hate airports. I'm sick of it. Anybody who says they like to travel has not traveled significantly. Okay. I want a jet. I want a freaking jet, or I want to rent a jet. It's way better to rent a jet. So I just want to be able to rent it at any point in time and just go wherever I want to.
It's like $25,000 for a private flight.
Yeah. So let's just say that's happening 4 times a month.
4 times a month.
3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Okay. That's you've successfully spent 10% of
it's great.
your $1 million a month.
I'm okay with that. Let's say another 10% goes. What's your Let's say it's $25,000 a month for your mortgage, right? Or maybe 100. Is that? I've never done math on a large.
No, think about it this way: every $1 million that the property is in value, it's about a $6,000 payment on average. So if you had a $10 million property, it'd be $60,000. You don't need a $10 million property.
I really don't. I don't care about that stuff.
Well, it would disconnect you from your friends. Like it would actually be
definitely
the opposite of beneficial. Yeah. So
all right. So that didn't do anything for my $1 million a month. But I would.
A $2 or $3 million property though is really nice. It has right. So let's call it 18 grand a month of interest and principal.
So I got a long ways to go.
Dude, you're not even making a dent.
This is not good.
A full-time chef.
That's a definite, yeah.
Okay, right? And all the organic, whatever, healthy
Yeah,
stuff,
I still want to drive myself because I enjoy driving. It's
a personal trainer. You're not even, dude, you're not even going to make it to 25% into this $1 million.
I like personal training myself. I think that's a lot of fun. Dang it. I measured everything incorrectly. I'm screwed. I mean, okay, there are the lavish things. Like I want to travel wherever I want.
Good news for you. You can live at your optimal lifestyle off of $250 a month.
That's kind of true. That's kind of true.
It's great news. You just cut the business you need to build in by 3/4. It's great.
No, but haven't you ever thought about that? Like I want to build a business big enough that I just I did it. I did it. Okay, it's like the 8-year-old. If there's a big rock in the pond, that's the rock they're going to lift. And I'm a little bit of an 8-year-old on the inside.
Yeah.
And I just want to pick up something heavy.
I appreciate your honesty about your ego. Yeah, I guess I like to practice the war against the ego. So it's not that I don't have it. I just want to practice the war against it and go, I really don't actually want those things. I just want those for signs and status. And so actually, if I can just make a mental choice to give up those things, I get more actual tangible benefits of my life, my humanity. I'm trying to maximize life. And to maximize life, I would think I probably don't want a house bigger than 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. That's a pretty big house to most people. It's a big ass house to most people.
Plenty
and I
big.
probably don't want it decorated in a way that separates us. I want a way that like I can just have the friends that I really like and enjoy. And if we're springing for the dinners and the food and the hangout time, then it's to everybody's benefit, but they don't need to feel a disconnect or separation because of socioeconomic class. Now, a little bit of that is impossible. To some degree, you can't cater to people's expectations of you. But in general, I like to think of myself in the middle. I want to be in the middle of society, the 80% middle, not the 10% outlier on either side, in empathy, compassion, life experience. Now, if I'm earning in the upper few percentile, the question to me is how can I participate still where the pain is? Because those are the problems I care about solving. I don't want to escape.
Okay, I'm not.
And it will have stress. I will lose the rest of my
Man,
life.
I have so many thoughts I want to add to this. Okay, I want to be in the top 1% of the 1%. And it's not because I just want to be better than them. It's because our economic system within this world could use a bit of an overhaul. And it'd be nice to be on the positive side of that, right? So let's just keep that, put that on the other side. There is an unfortunate reality that the more money you make, the more money you spend, and it's pretty damn easy to do it. It just naturally happens with life. And
because time is your limited commodity, so you keep spending to save you time, basically.
I'm so happy that you brought up time. So if you want to live a fulfilling life, live a hard life and do new things and difficult things.
Amen.
Because that's how you live better. It's not a fun life. Like the person who had fun didn't live a better life. They got to the end of their life, and I'm going to say it wasn't very meaningful.
I want to weep a lot. Like I don't
want to weep a lot. I just want to do hard things. I want to pick up heavy rocks. I want to start a business that makes $12 million clear every single year, and that I can spend, do whatever the hell I want with it. Just knowing that I was able to do it.
Hey, let's engineer that for you.
Okay,
let's have a discussion on how we get you $12 million a year. Now you said post-tax, so let's not be idiots here. That means you need to have a personal income of closer to.
It's ironic. My tax man was just calling me right now. That's funny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you'll need about $30 million a year, free and clear, in order to actually clear 12 for you and your family. In order for you to clear $30 million, you will need to be the 100% owner of a thing doing something like $150 million a year. I have a couple buddies doing that scale. It's totally doable. It
doesn't scare me. That seems pretty attainable.
It's doable. It's freaking hard. You got to get lucky. You got to be good. It's definitely
you just have
not
to play
fast.
harder and longer than anybody else.
Yeah, right. So on a 15-year time horizon, I think that you could do it. You do have to include some luck in that factor, right? So it doesn't mean you will do it. I wouldn't count it out. But you do have to aim in the right directions and be willing to make the right sacrifices. And that is a planning exercise that people can really squander. So, for example, with the AI craze, if you go build a business that's based on a novelty feature of AI that 6 months from now, everybody will understand how to use it, that business will gain customers in the next 6 months and then stall out because it becomes this easily understood, like maybe you were the first mover, but you didn't actually capture something that has a moat. It just gets watered down. So then the only differentiators become trust and brand and voice. One of the reasons why I'm betting on content, like we're going to have 5 or 6 more shows coming online in the next year. And the year after that, I want to do more. I want to do deals with shows. I want to get IP together of multiple, like trusted voices are going to be bigger market movers than tech advancements, in my opinion. Tech advances is becoming more the commodity. So I think if you continue on with the content thing, 15 years from now, you'll have done many businesses that could contribute to what you're talking about. And that's probably the more likely path to clearing so much net margin in your life than creating one business that at many points of time could go belly up, because you can be doing 40 million a year in revenue and then go upside down. That's what happened to me at 2 different jobs. I was a part of companies that were doing that level of revenue and then went belly up. My buddy's company, well, I'm not close with him, but this guy that I grew up with, and I have friends who worked in senior leadership at the company, went from 0 to 3 to 80 million a year. And then in the last 6 months, they dropped down to 50. Now I'm worried that they're going to drop to 30. They're totally backsliding because it was based on Facebook ads. It was based on buying a customer. There was no stickiness to the brand. So they have to keep renting space from Facebook. So I think, like, in order to do what you're talking about, keep doing what you're doing and do a few businesses that are in conjunction with your content.
Okay. The content thing is very, very interesting. There's a lot of negatives to it. I'm going to start with the negatives.
Tell me.
You're an employee in its dirtiest sense of the word. Okay, you're Kendall Bachman. You show up and the show happens, right? I show up, this show happens. If we stop showing up, the Idea Drop brand, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, because we are employees and people pay to see us, right?
Okay.
They don't pay.
Okay.
Very
Sure.
low. So that's the negative side of it. The positive side of it, though, is if you can actually build that and parlay that into fantastic things, oh my goodness, it's invincible to some degree. Like, I don't know, name a famous actor, any one of them. Who's that guy? John Travolta. We haven't talked about him anymore, right? Nobody talks about him. If he starts a business tomorrow,
because he stopped showing up,
it's going to get a huge buzz. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But it doesn't matter what he starts. Doesn't matter. He could start a dental business. Doesn't matter. It's going to blow up. People are going to go there because content is king.
Travolta Dental.
Yeah.
Oh my
totally,
gosh.
Absolutely.
That's $1 billion idea.
I'm going. Why? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? There is a strong reality that businesses that are at the intersection of communication and technology generally do well, which is fantastic, which we're kind of doing that, but we're the employee of that business that we built ourselves, which is kind of ironic. It's kind of funny. So I think you're right about that. I also agree with you about the diversification thing. That's smart. Definitely diversify, but not necessarily a business, just the different avenues of revenue within the business.
There's some hope for the fact that you have to keep showing up on content. You can parlay your content into partnerships with other people.
That's fair.
And they can do content. Right? So there's in some way, if I think about Disney, Walt is dead and Disney continued. But Walt was at the center of a lot of freaking content.
But he wasn't the face. He was a face, but Mickey Mouse was the face.
Disney was his name, though.
Yeah, but Mickey Mouse was
his literal last name was Disney.
That's great. That's totally fine. But like, what did 5-year-old children, when they turn on the TV, they're not looking at Walt Disney.
I don't think it's that hard to transition.
I guess that's you're right. That's the magic
to
right there.
Related stuff. Yeah, it's people will want more, and you're just going to be recommending, hey. I mean, this happened. Did you ever listen to that podcast Startup? It's Gimlet Media.
No.
Okay, it's very meta. There's a startup about a startup that is a podcasting media.
I like
company.
that name, Gimlet Media.
Gimlet Media is the name.
Very cool.
And their very first show was called Startup, and the content is about a startup, which was themselves starting this podcast you're hearing me tell you about this podcast. And it had a plan, and they went and raised venture capital. They recorded the discussions with Chris Sacca, the VCs that they did. They recorded their vulnerable moments. They recorded the decision inflection points. They recorded the confusion in branding they had, or how do we even make money, or how do we charge advertisers? And people showed up to listen to this podcast talk about a startup podcast, which was themselves. That's what I mean by it's very meta. They did huge numbers. They did it high quality, and they pulled it off. And the next show they did had nothing to do with startups. It just was an audience with high quality audio about the things that we find interesting in life. And now, gosh, they must have 50 different shows.
Okay, I question that move on their part. I think they should have just doubled down on the business side of things. It would have worked better. I don't know. I've never heard of Gimlet.
But they knew podcasts. But well, to own and operate and fund 50 shows, they must be doing pretty good in revenue.
They're currently doing 50 shows.
Yeah, Gimlet Media. They're pretty big, man, and they are making money.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that. I want to come back to you. I don't think I'm going to come back to you now. I made a bold statement, $1 million a month. I don't think I've ever said that out loud. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'm going to come back to you on a later episode. And
that's fun.
I'm calling my shot
fun.
right now, though. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to what I need to be good, but what my wife and I decided a long time ago, gosh, this was probably 9 years ago now. Decided as if she decided. No, I told her it is my goal and my hope to work full-time-ish with a degree of autonomy and flexibility and happiness in my work, for the rest of my life and not retire. I'm not really thinking about retirement. I'm not really interested in retirement. I am thinking about the family. I do want my kids and my wife to be a part of our business adventures, but I don't need to shove it down their throats. Mm-hmm. So if I own companies, then I have a path to autonomy, and we can go to Disneyland in the middle of a week when, it's not super crowded and super hot at Disneyland. We get to go when other people don't get to go. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of the main goal I have right now. But long term, after the kids are out of the house, she has her stuff that she's working on and building. She's an artist and a musician, and she's going to keep doing that stuff. And I think we're both just going to work on what we believe in. And for me, the work is to create, I guess, better framework systems, teams, like a more empathetic and compassionate capitalism, mm-hmm. because I believe that capitalism gives us a lot of benefits as a society. But the cons need to be worked on, and you can't just regulate them. They actually need frameworks and systems that mature and address some of the people that are the big losers in capitalism. And so I think that can be done. It just requires people being good people and spending 50 years of work to work those kinks out.
Dude, I disagree with you strongly there. And that's partially
you always
why
were the
I
greater
want
jackass.
Yeah, that's partially why capitalism is probably the best system we have at this point.
So far,
it's dramatically flawed, and so I want to kick its ass.
What do you mean, kick its ass?
It's not a very winnable system. It doesn't favor the underdog, and I want to
mm-hmm.
be the underdog so desperately bad.
I just want it to work for more people. I don't care.
No, the underdog is most of the people. That's the thing.
Right.
The underdog is like system. Little Billy's like, you can be anything when you grow up. But like the shitty part is he can't. You really can't. It's not that easy. You want to go to the NBA? It's 1 in a million, buddy. But you're not going to tell that to your son. No.
I do.
You're going to hey, it's 1 in a million, bucko. Hey, you better learn that.
I do. Yeah, my son's way into soccer, and I just tell him,
you're a good dad. You're a good dad. You're fantastic dad. I love it.
Buddy, you're not good enough to make a living off of soccer, and you won't be, because you can't change your height and speed, relative speed.
My wife has come in. I think, she's taking...
Yep, it's time.
It's time. It is time. What are you off to?
It's time. This is a fun discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the new studio. I'm gonna head over to the new
Nice.
studio, and we got in our wall paneling and some acoustic stuff, and our podcasting table.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got to go babysit some of those things and be a part of the design process. We're pretty in bed with the content machine, so we'll see. We'll see if we can give HubSpot a run for their money.
You will. I think you will, because they.
If we can give it 3 years, if we can last 3 years and we can fund it properly and do multiple shows that we have in mind, I do think we'll compete on that level. But I don't think we can do it in less than 3 years.
I like that. Okay,
Yep.
we both called a couple shots today. That's good.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
It's good to see you. Bye.
Good to see you. Bye.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, you will enjoy hanging out with us in the Idea Drop Builders community, where entrepreneurs like yourself can reach out to each other, can share what's working for you, can hear what's working for other people. And in a time with as much change as there is today, it is important to see how other people are pulling off this stuff. Come join us in our closed Facebook group for entrepreneurs. You can just click the link in bio.